Okay, so at this stage, I'm going to be showing or talking about how to do a presentation drawing. How my suggestion is to complete this. And this comes under this section. So demonstrated sophisticated use of skills, techniques to clearly communicate design ideas and proposals to a third party. So we're looking for ways to communicate your idea across, and obviously going down, so demonstrating good use of skills, demonstrating satisfactory use of skills, demonstrating limited ability to communicate your design idea. So in order to demonstrate sophisticated use of skills here, I feel like using like a 3D design computer software would really, if you do it successfully and you do it in detail, really would demonstrate that clearly. And then good use of skills, you can still do very nice drawings and it'd be sophisticated by hand, but obviously good use of different skills, looking at using again a computer program but not using it as successfully, so not really demonstrating that you can use the package very well, or your drawings just slightly not quite right with your demonstration, or when you shade it's not particularly very good, etc. So got to make sure that in order to get the top grades, it is clearly shows that you know how to draw, either being on computer or by hand, very skillfully. So it can just be one drawing, but depending on how you do this, I've done 4 because it was relatively simple for me to do 4 because I've done it on the computer. So first thing, draw out your design idea using 3D modeling software, isometric paper, freehand, 1-point perspective, or oblique projection drawing, or an exploded drawing. Render your design idea to show the colours and materials that you're planning to use. Render your design idea to show different tone where the light, dark and medium size would be. And then this one, so for the second drawing, draw out your design again from a different angle. Front view, back, side, plan view, which means above. Again, you can use 3D modeling. It's much easier if you do use 3D modeling. You can just rotate it easily in the program. And then the same thing applies. So again, obviously doing it from another angle ideally. And then this one, superimpose your design. Photograph where you want the product to be positioned, or get an image from the internet of a background that matches where you want your product to be used. Pick one of the 3 drawings you have drawn again. This time, stick it over the background to see if it would work well in that setting. You can use Adobe Photoshop instead. If you go on this program on the computer, you can just copy and paste the image and place the design on the top of the background. So you can see here, I've used Google Sketchup and combined with Adobe Photoshop to draw my design, and then I've deleted like the bits of background and stuff. I could easily delete these and make these look better, but I left them in just for speed's sake. And then I superimposed an image into a background. I want it to be an outdoor piece of furniture, so I've superimposed it into this background. These skills that I'm demonstrating here, I think would warrant sophisticated, the top grade, so sophisticated use of skills to demonstrate my design idea. And as you see, I've done it from different angles, so side view, front view, back view, front view, just to clearly demonstrate to the end user what I'm trying to produce. And I'll go on now and show you how I have used Adobe Photoshop use Google Sketchup to do this, and to talk through how I managed to do it. So if you have a look at the video in a second, then it will help you with that stage. Okay, so at this stage, I'm going to draw my design in Google Sketchup, and to find it, I'm going to STM D&T and then Google Sketchup. Now, at the moment, it's got a green base here. Now, that means the measurements are probably set to inches. So if I go to Window and Preferences, I can then see under template, so just this section here, it says template, there's a load of options. So I want to find one that's millimeters, if possible. So architectural millimeters, or there are some other ones. Product design would work, that's in inches, and then you've got product design will work in millimeters. I'm going to choose that one and click OK. Now it won't change at the minute. You've got to close it down and then open it up again, or I think you can just go to File in New, and it will set it then as millimeters. It's got a grey background. Okay. Now to start with, I'm just going to start by drawing a rectangle, which will be the size of my design that I want. And what you do is then you click in what's called the origin point. So you choose the square or the rectangle tool, which is this one here. And then you click in the origin point and you can see it's drawing it along this plane, which means from this axis to this axis. If I just drag out and then I type in the size that I want it to be, to make sure num locks on if you're using the little number key, I'm going to do mine 180 millimeters, put a little comma, by 800 millimeters. That's 680 millimeters wide by 800 high. Now, that's where I'm going to draw my design onto on that plane. Now, at the moment, it's effectively drawing it on the floor here, side views. You can change that. You just twist it a little bit, so it's almost kind of the blue axis, which is up. If I do it in this axis instead, it's not letting me do that. Okay, so at this stage, I'm going to rotate the image around. So this one is orbit, which means I can orbit the plane. So I want it to be pretty flat onto me, so I can see it from a front view. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit with the magnifying glass, just so it's a bit clearer. And then the little hand is the pan, which means I can just move it around easier. So I want it to be fairly central in the screen. Enough space so that I can see exactly what I'm doing. Okay. Now I'm going to do like a little chair design, my final chair design. And I'm going to use the tape measure tool to plot out where I want things to be. So I have a little curve for the bottom of my leg here and a little curve for the bottom of my leg here. And I know that the diameter, which is one side of the curve to the other, is 100 millimeters. So what I did here is I clicked on the line, the outside line, and then dragged across and then typed in 100 into length, and I'll do the same on this side. So drag in, type in 100, and then click enter, and it'll find that spot for me. And the curve, it's almost like a circle, but it's only like a half a circle. So again, if I drag up now, instead of typing in 100, I'm going to type in 50. I know that my curve is going to go between there and there. Okay, so I've got my arc tool over on here, so this side. And then what I've got to do is I've got to click on either side of the circle and then drag out, and it'll say half a circle. So it's the click there, and then find that section. So click there, and then that section. Now, I know that the height of my chair is 38 centimeters or 380 millimeters. So I'm going to type that in. So that's the height I want it to come up to. Oh, no, it's not. Sorry, ignore me on that one. It is 280 millimeters or 28 centimeters. Okay, and coming in, I don't have it coming right to the very edge. It's kind of tapered in a little bit at this point to 50 millimeters, 5 centimeters. So then I use the pencil tool, and I'm going to then draw a line from there to there. Okay, and it kind of wants me to draw an extra line, but at the minute I don't want to, so I'm just going to press escape on the keyboard. Okay, now the design is going to be coming to about kind of here. Now I can work out precisely how much I want this to come down, but it is a sketch. So at this moment, I'm not too fussy about exactly where it's going to be coming down to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it come in from here to, it's going to be about there, and then I'm going to come all the way back down to here. Okay, so again, you can measure it up to be more precise if you want to. I know that the distance from here to here is going to be 38 centimeters. So again, if I click on that point and then type in 380 millimeters, it's going to here. Okay, and then I've got like a little curve. Oh, let me just press escape. Now I'm going to do a little curve here. And again, as I said to you before, I roughly know my measurements, but I'm not don't need to be too precise at this stage. So click on where you want the curve to start, click on where you want the curve to finish, and then click on how wide you want the curve to be. So you can do half a circle again, depending on what you want to do and the design that you're doing. Okay, now my back of my chair is coming up to 600 millimeters. So I'm going to use a tape measure, drag up 600. It's going to be coming up to this point, and it's not going to be directly in line with the back. I'm going to have it coming in a little bit, so it's going to be 50 in. So I'm going to have a line from here to here, and then from there back down to over here. Down to that point. I think I've slightly should have brought this one a bit further across for this curve. So I'm going to rub this out and then just see if I can make this curve a little bit nicer. It's probably going to be more like that. Design there. Okay, so what I've got is I've got the outline of my design of what I want. I don't need at the moment the box. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub it out. Rub out any lines I don't need, leaving me just with the outline. Okay, I'm going to orbit around just so I can see it a bit clearer. See, it's flat down there, and now I need to give it a thickness. So if I use the push-pull tool, which is this one here, I can then drag it up, and I want it to be, I think it was 18 millimeter thick timber. So type in 18, and that is my start of my design. Now, I need two of these. I need one for one side and one for the other. And I want them to be spaced 500 millimeters apart from each other. So if you position it like so with the orbit tool, use the tape measure. I'm going to pick a point, say that point there. I'm going to drag it up. Now you'll see the color of that line is blue. If I drag it over here, it turns gray. Blue just means it's in line with this axis. So what I'm going to do is bring it up here, type in 500 and click enter. Just going to zoom out just so I can see it a bit better. So that's the point where I want the other side of this to go. Now with the select tool, with the arrow select tool, I can select around the whole thing, go to edit, copy, edit, paste. And now I can place it up here somewhere to start with. Now I'm going to orbit around it just until I can see and locate exactly where I want it to be. And then the move tool is this one here. It's got little arrows on it. I can then click, and then hopefully it should jump to that point there. Now it's not quite doing it, and if it's not, just click anywhere close to it, orbit it around, and then repeat. So it's from this corner, and it will jump to it. Keep doing it. There we go. So you just move it around, and then you should be able to then position it where you want it to be. Okay, now I've got like a cushioned section here. So for my cushion section, it's going to be on this plane. So what I'm going to do is I want it to be going from here to here. I'm just going to escape that and just change my angle a little bit better. So it's going to be going from here across to here. Okay, and then I'm going to then push pull, which is this one, the shape up and it's going to be 100 millimeters. I'm also going to push pull this bit because I want it to be going all the way across. And the same with this point here. If you just click, if you bring it up to here and then you hover over the surface, sometimes it does it. In this case, it's not. Okay, now I need, just to zoom out a little bit, I need to do something similar with the backrest. So I need, I'm going to have a rectangle coming from here across to the other side, and I want it to be to about there. Okay, and I'm going to push pull it out 100 millimeters. Okay. And again, I've just got to push pull this a little bit out. Again, if you hover over this surface, it will jump to exactly the same point. If I hover over this surface now, it joins that end. Now, at this stage, I just want to round the ends of this just so it looks a little bit neater. So if I hover over the end of here, use the arc tool, just going to click there to there, and hopefully it's going to find this escape that. Zoom in a little bit. Get a bit shorter, so I'm going to do from there to say there, and then to that point. So you've got to pick start and end of where you want the line to be, and then what you can do is you then push pull that down. Now if you just hover, you see the dots, offset to limit, and then you can do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Okay, and obviously you can round all the other sections that you want to. Now, once you've got your shape how you want it to be, if there's any other sections that you want to bring out, like I want to bring this top bit out a little bit further, I want to bring it up a little bit higher. I reckon it's going to be about kind of there. And you can do something similar then with this section. Okay, so once you've got it right, you can then start thinking about well, that bit's gone like that. It's not quite right there. Get rid of that. There we go. So the next thing to do would be to add some color or some texture or whatever you want it to be. So I've got some different colors here. So if you want to make it look like a type of wood, obviously you can click on the wood and you can then change the design to whatever shape you want it to be. So for all this section is going to be timber, you can just click on the timber you want and then just change the color and just rotate it around. Okay, so I'm choosing like a textiles design on this face. So you can choose one of these or you can just choose a color depending on what you want to do. So let's see what this looks like. And choose like it's more like a carpet design, that isn't it? Let's just change it to a color instead. So let's say I want it to be like a blue or something. You can then change the color to the blue that you're after. If you want it to pick out that quickly, there's a little eyedrop, a sample paint part. You can click on that, and then you can then use the paint bucket again to then colour those bits. Okay, so at this stage, use the rubber to rub out all the measurements. You don't see them. Just looks a bit neater. And then what you can do is, if you can then open up Adobe Photoshop. And then if you go to New, International Paper Size, change it to A3. And then I swap these around, so it's 220 by 297. Okay, and then go back to Google SketchUp. I just want different viewpoints of it so that I can show it on my final design. So if I go to the snipping tool and click New, I can then snip that design, copy, and then I go to Edit and Paste, and then paste it into the screen. Now the little select tool at the top lets you enlarge, lets you select it, and if you've got, if we click on the select tool, then can you see where it says show transform control? That needs to be ticked in order for you to enlarge it. So you then, if you hold down the shift key when you're doing it from the corner, it'll do it in proportion. And then the the magic wand tool will then delete the background, any bits that you don't want. You can delete with the rubber. I don't want that green line anymore. I've got a choice. I can either select it and press delete, or I can go to the rubber and rub out any little bits. Okay, so at this stage, you need ideally about 4 images, okay, from different angles. So one, probably side view. I just realised I've got that little bit. Delete that little section. And then use a little rubber to rub that little bit out. If you press the little minus button up here when you're in the magnifying glass, you can then zoom out if you click on the screen. So I want one side view, one probably front view, one at an angle, or maybe one at a different angle. And then what you can do is you can get an image off the internet of a type of background, or photograph the location where it needs to be placed, and then you can superimpose it into its location. So for example, if I go to, so mine's going to be for a garden. So if I type in like a modern garden, and I go to images, try and get the biggest version of the image that you can, because it will give you a more detailed version of it with more pixels, so it'll be a better quality image. And then you want to be clicking on the type in snip. Okay, click new. And I don't want all of this, I just want this kind of like here. Don't want it too much. And made it a bit darker. Let's try again. So let's try again. It's doing that thing where it makes it go dark. Okay, if it does that, instead, try to press print screen on the keyboard, and you can edit and paste that in. You can just enlarge the image. And then if you, with the rectangle select tool, select the bit that you want. So I want just that bit there. And go edit, copy, edit, paste, and what it's done is it's created another layer here. So that's one I want, that's one I don't want. So if I then put that in the bin, little trash can down here, if I grab it and drop it into the bin, and then left with the background that I'm after. So I need to turn my Google Sketchup image into a good location that matches that direction. So if I rotate it around, it struggles to get into a good location, and the reason why is because I've drawn it kind of from a side view. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this tool, which is the rotate, once I've selected the whole thing. So use the select tool, select around the whole thing, go to the move tool, click on this face here, not that move tool, sorry, the rotate one, this one. Click on this face, click again out at the along the straight across so it looks blue or whatever colour it will be, and then it will then allow me to then rotate it around to whatever shape I want it to be, and then just click on the select and then just select off it, and it will allow you to get a better position. And again, you can just rotate it again if you want. Okay. Rotate a bit more, so I think that might be quite a nice view. Don't want that little line there, and I don't want that little line there. Okay, so again, using the snip tool, copy it, open up Photoshop, edit and paste. Hold down the Shift key, you can enlarge it so it fits within the space. Double click just off. Then the Magic Wand tool will let you delete the background. It should then fit nicely within the space. Zoom in a little bit. And then I can then rub out, select these little bits, press delete on the keyboard. Or then you let you delete all the other bits that you don't want. And that green bit there running across the center doesn't look very nice. So what I can do is if I click on the swatch, then click on the color that I want it to be. So click on the side of it, click OK. If I use the paint bucket, the paintbrush, and then just increase the size of the brush size. Not that big. Let's do it that big. And I can then basically just brush that out. Do the same thing then for this little bit here. I can edit these little sections. And you can zoom in to get more detail. Okay, obviously you can spend longer on that and tidy it all up and make it all nice and neat, but you can see that it matches within the scene. Okay, thank you for watching.